Right, excellent. We have started our webinar that will be discussing the EVO RTK and Dragonfish. What we'll be doing is just doing a quick overview of hardware, some of the software that accompanies this stuff, talk a little bit about capability and some of the connections that are available for the RTK, and then we'll just overview the Dragonfish with the help of my two assistants today. We have Maxwell Lee, General Manager of Autel USA. We have Victor Dan, who is our engineer also in Bothwell, that will be showing us a little bit of the screen shots and whatnot today as well. So thank you guys for coming. I'm John Mcbride, the Director of Training. I've been doing drone stuff for around 20 years, but fairly new to Autel. So looking more into doing these trainings and showing some of the new features and new products that are coming online, as well as getting certifications and trainings is going to be our focus over the next 6 months to a year. So we'll really try to get these kinds of broadcasts a little bit more common. Max, did you want to talk a little bit about anything before we get started?
Oh yeah, thank you, John. Can we, for the audience out there, can you please type in the comment in the chat box if you're a dealer or a user, so we can get a better understanding of our target audience tonight or this morning.
Excellent. Yeah, as well, we'll just give it a minute or so for everybody to get connected. So use the chat box. That's exactly what Max was talking about. So in the chat box, go ahead and put in there whether you're an end user or a dealer that is now interested in the RTK, or maybe has even received an RTK, and as well with the Dragonfish. So go ahead and put it in there. Victor and Max will be kind of monitoring the chat. So as well in the chat window, you'll want to go ahead and post your questions there, and we'll try to get to those as soon as we possibly can throughout the presentation. So Max will be monitoring, again, the chat window to kind of keep an eye on that. Victor, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we get started? Not to put you right on the spot, but, you know, again, we have a lot of support from Victor as far as helping us out on the engineering side. So he's definitely the guy that knows a lot of stuff when it comes down to this. So again, if you're just joining us or getting online here, we have our chat window on the side. We'll get moving here in just another minute. We have the chat window on the side. Go ahead and put in there whether you're a dealer or an end user. We'll try to focus a little bit more of our presentation as such, but, you know, just explaining a little bit about the RTK and capabilities, and as well as the Dragonfish today. So a hardware overview, software overview, some of the recommendations we've seen so far as me using both pieces of equipment, and we'll continue trainings like this going forward. Again, if you have just joined us, go ahead and use the chat window to put any questions that you guys might have, and Max and Victor will do their best to try and actually answer those within the presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get moving along here. So lots of stuff to cover, about half an hour each. I've got some videos to share from the Dragonfish that would love to get you guys' input or feedback. Yes. And good morning from Malaysia. Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it'll be fantastic with all the people. And a lot of the earlier stuff I've done with my previous job, definitely we did a lot of presence and presentations on the web. But, you know, we're expecting to do a little bit more of this moving forward. So, all right, excellent. So what we'll do is talk a little bit about some of the hardware that comes with your RTK when you purchase. I'm just going to reach over here and grab the original OEM case that we get. And although in this camera view, you might be able to see pretty good, but you can go ahead and put in the camera view to kind of show a little bit more of what on my screen, what I'm seeing or what you're seeing. But in here, we have the RTK that sits in this cavity. It's going to come with the warranty card, your aircraft, stock remote, extra propellers, battery charger. There will be a battery within the the ship itself, and then an extra battery. And this case can hold 3 batteries and then a 4th battery in the drone. This is the stock OEM case that you receive. It's got a cutout here that also has the antenna where the antenna will fit. So this is a nice case that will come from Autel in order to hold your RTK. However, I went ahead and have been using this GPC case that's here in the back. It accommodates 2 ships, and with the RTK antenna and the space that it actually takes up, seems to be okay. Okay. Good question there, Victor. Actually, if you wanted to do that, that would be fine. Same with Max. Still trying to, again, one more time, apologies on this newer web casting program called Demio. We're still kind of figuring out how to get that to work. It's even better when you put me on the big screen, I suppose. Thank you, gentlemen. So, again, any questions during this presentation, please go ahead and put that in the chat window if you have any questions, and Max and Victor will do a great job trying to keep on top of that. So just some of the basics. I know that there's a lot of specifications on the internet of actually numbers that are available for sensor size and everything else. But let's just summarize it real quick. So we've got a 1-inch sensor that's going to come on the 6K. It's a 20 megapixel camera. We go ahead and use Autel Explorer to plan our missions and set up our missions. From here, it's, even though you could load or use third party, it's a little more complicated when you use this RTK antenna, because you will have to be connected to a VRS, so a virtual reference station, and or NTRIP. So NTRIP is another way to then connect to a system so that RTK is real time gathering that data. So some of the other third-party applications don't allow this connection to happen. You may have to, log in into Autel Explorer. So it's highly recommended that we use Autel Explorer app to do our missions for that connection. Otherwise, it kind of makes the RTK fairly useless. So any end users do need to have a VRS or a NTRIP connection. Some of the China customers have a little bit different, and Victor will be showing us a little bit, or maybe explain a little bit about the Chinese customers being able to connect into networks there. So of some of the missions that you can set up, you've got waypoint, you've got rectangle, you've got polygons that you can set up, and then obliques. And this usually does qualify for most of the mapping capability that we're able to do with this setup. Additionally, you've got this available in a 640T. So the T is the Chinese-made thermal camera. So that one will be able to come in this version as well. So a 640T with an RTK, or you can go ahead and change the payloads out. So swappable payloads. And to also confirm a question I had earlier is that the RTK connection here up on the top here, you can remove these and then use other accessories that are available for the enterprise versions. So that would include the speaker, the LED, and the spotlight. So these are available for this if you go ahead and buy this unit. So it's a really bright light up there. I apologize for the camera. And again, we'll have a much better way to do this in the future. Some of the other accessories that you can buy that I use. So hub charger. So the hub charger, if you're not familiar with that. Oh, that's actually a great question, Roman. Let me go ahead and show that that connection on the top. So 2 thumb screws to get those apart. And it's much better than a USB connection. I hope everybody can see this okay. Right there, blocking that light. And then on the ship itself, a cover is provided, so you don't have to use the RTK module if you're not connected. But then a cover is provided to cover that up when the RTK The RTK antenna is not in use. So great question on that. It's an IMAX connector. Very good connector. Way better than USB. We already know those tend to get worn out very easily. So great engineering design on that connection. And we'll come back to that in a second. So the hub charger. So the hub charger will be used with the stock charger. Connects here on the bottom. From here, you have two different ways that you can charge. You've got 4 batteries at a time it will charge. So in parallel, it will charge all 4 batteries, bringing them all up. Or it'll do the battery that has the most voltage. It chooses that one first, and it'll charge the first one, then the second, the third, the fourth. That way, once one is finished, you can go ahead and pull it off instead of waiting for all 4 to actually charge. So that will help tremendously as far as multiple batteries out in the field. So just let you know. A really great accessory. And then, although this does come with its own remote, you can use your iPad or an Android device to connect. We go ahead and use the smart remote. So I've been using the smart controller over the last few weeks here, and very impressed with the way that this works. You can go ahead and connect this up to the RTK as well. You can sign in and do all of the other things with this unit. I know there wasn't a lot of these made, and just to clarify, V1 remotes will work with V1 RTKs. Moving forward, they won't be compatible with each other. But one of the things we have to remember is, again, that not many other things are going to change. So the sensor, the smart remote application, everything is going to be, or the smart controller applications are all going to be very compatible and work with each other. So don't fear about being left behind or things that are going to be changing drastically between the V1 and the V2. So you should be able to confidently go out and still do great map gathering with the V1 version if that's what you have. So no worries at all. With that being said, just to kind of walk us through a little bit of the connection as well as the interface that's on here, I'm going to go ahead and have Dan, or Victor Dan, go ahead and show us a little bit about walking through that. So Victor, if you wanted to take over the screen, jump back on here on the stage.
Sure.
I'll go ahead and myself.
Okay, I'm show you the screen of the Autel Explorer app. So I assume that everybody should quite familiar with this app. So before you start the flight mission, you need to make sure your RTK connection is connected. So just type the camera. Because I'm indoor right now, so you will not see the GPS satellites. So we click the top right corner, the G icon there, to go to the settings, and you will find the RTK section on the left. You'll only see this RTK section when you are using the RTK aircraft. So if you toggle on, you will use the RTK feature. If you toggle off, so you can still use your aircraft as a regular EVO II. Here we have 3 different options. One is none, that means we don't want to use RTK, or you just want to disconnect RTK temporarily. The second one is for users in China. They need to log in their account and password. I think the network RTK is provided by Chenxun. And the third option is for all other countries. The RTK network, the network RTK support the NTRIP, use the NTRIP protocol. So by clicking this, you can key in all the account and the user password, all this kind of information provided by your subscription provider. And you can also choose the correct mount point you need to use. All these we collect this mount point through the the RTK IP host. Once you connect, you will see the connection successful. Because I'm indoor right now, so I can't show you the positioning status here. It shows there has 3 different options: single, float, and fix. So once you see the fix, that means your RTK is ready to go, and you will see your GPS coordinate latitude, longitude, and altitude, and how many satellites and what kind of satellites you connected, and what's the standard deviation you have. And the last one is the RTK diagnosis. You will see what's the problem right now. For me, because I'm indoors, so I can't get any satellites. But I already connect the aircraft in my remote controller, and also my remote controller has the internet, so I already connect to the RTK network. I believe that's the pretty much all for the RTK settings. John?
Just a couple of questions here.
I think you mute, John.
Oh, okay. How's that? Is that better? Working now? Okay. Just a couple of questions. And yes, we will be recording this cigar, so no problem. Victor, just a couple of questions on this connection. So one more time, we have to have that virtual network to connect to, or an in-trip connection. And is there going to be base station connections later on? You know, so can we use other base stations? If you can maybe address that question. Okay. All right, moving on. Everybody can hear me? Good to go? So just one more question. I give Victor, you're back on stage. Did you want to answer the question about the base station? Oh, still can't hear me? How's that? Better? Working? Good? Bad? No? Okay, still can't hear anything? Dang it. This is what happens when I leave the stage. Okay, better. We can hear. So, Victor, can you hear me? Okay, we're just double checking. Okay, everybody can hear. Max, can you hear me? Okay.
John, if you can repeat your question again.
All right, so there will be some questions. I know that currently the path right now is to be able to do a connection to a Chinese server, and then you just demonstrated connecting to a VRS or N-trip connection. Will there be likely some way to connect to a ground station? An ARTK is basically what I'm looking for, Victor.
What's the question again?
John, sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Oh, can we connect to a base station? How does the base station going to look?
I'm sorry, but we don't support the third-party base station right now, but we are working on it.
Okay.
We will try to support all major brands like Leica, Tremble, or this, or other, the major players, but just gradually support. But we definitely will do that.
Okay. So some of my experience with the RTK over time has definitely been connecting to an N-trip server, and that flight path does tend to be a little bit slower than how you would normally collect without connecting to RTK. So I'm just letting everybody know, as end users, everybody needs to understand that data collection can be a little bit slower because we have communication happening between the drone, the remote, the device, and then out into the internet to basically get that RTK capability. So the speed of the drone does matter on how we're collecting that data. So it does seem a little bit slower in data collection. However, you can still set it up to be able to do a great collection when RTK is connected. Anything else you wanted to add, Victor, on setup or connections?
In the table, the left side is the aircraft. That means the N-trip network, RTK network. On the right side is reserved for the base station at RTK network in the future. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So definitely in the path is being able to develop and work with third-party base stations since we're not getting one right now. Okay, excellent. Okay. Some other things about that as far as the RTK is concerned before we move on to the Dragonfish. Again, please put your questions in the chat. Answer that. We'll try to get those questions answered as soon as possible. So we'll do another presentation here in a couple more weeks after doing some data gathering. We'll have a way that we will show you exactly how that data gathering went. And just remember that when we're doing mapping, we have so many applications that are actually used for doing the data collection. So Autel Explorer, I highly recommend that we use this instead of anything else like Drone Deploy or Pix4D Mapper or ARC or Maps Made Easy. There's a lot of applications out there to collect the data. Then there's just as many software programs to move that data to process it. So I'm gonna just one more question for Victor. We do have the RTK portion, but we also have the PPK. And after doing a data collection, there's a lot of other information provided. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what other files are there besides just the geotagging on the images for any PPK processing? Hopefully it didn't go. Yes, just the different.
Okay.
Like what are the files that are saved there?
Yes, in the same folder as all the the folders. Sorry, the photos. If you finish the mission, you will find everything you need for the PPK in the same folder. It should be start with a number like 101 task. That means the flight mission you just run.
And from here, a lot of the other softwares that we're importing this information into do ingest that information, that extra information that is provided by the RTK.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So excellent. Let's see. I think that's unless you guys had anything else, Max or Victor, on anything else you guys wanted to talk about on the RTK.